Good morning, fathers of daughters. This is Ephraim B. Martin, and I am back for another live stream. It is a Sunday morning, a beautiful day here in the state of Colorado, and I'm just happy to be here. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the support that I'm receiving. I'm a brand new YouTube channel, and it's for dads, girl dads, fathers of daughters. So brand new. It's only been around for about 3 months. And I'm feeling good about it, actually, feeling real good about it. I know that my channel is beneficial, it's needed, and it's necessary. So I will be doing live streams every week this point forward, and we'll continue to build capacity. Even though I do not have a lot of followers and a lot of subscribers at this present time, that's what building capacity is all about for you dads. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for how things are going down. And, like I said, just blessed to be here. I am a girl dad. I am the father of 4 adult daughters. So I've been through every stage of development with my girls. Fathers of daughters, what I want to talk to you about today is I want to address mean girls equals middle school girls. And the reason that I want to talk about mean girls equal middle school girls, because at one point in my career, I worked in K-12 education for 10 years. So I'm a former teacher, restorative justice coordinator, and a dean of students. So I'm very familiar. I've worked with middle school and high school students as far as it being their dean of students. And I know exactly, for about 8 years as a dean of students and about 2 years as a teacher. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to working directly with middle school girls. Because once our daughters get to middle school, fathers, let me tell you, that's a whole different experience. They are going to keep you on guard. They are going to keep you on your heels. So it's coming. As you can see in the right-hand corner, I've got a banner for my book. It's called Daddy's Girls. It can be purchased at Amazon.com. You can also get that through my website. Not my website, I'm sorry, through my YouTube channel. I have it posted to take you to directly to Amazon if you're interested in purchasing my book. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm doing and what's going on here with fathers. So I work with all fathers regardless of their ethnic background because we have a commonality as fathers. And the main reason I'm very, very excited about working with all fathers is because there's an attack on fathers and a war on fathers, I believe, within the United States. So I'm excited to share what I know as a father. I've lived it, I've worked it, and I feel at this time, at this transition in my life, I want to share my experiences and helping other fathers. I want to see all fathers have great relationships, not just with their children, but with their girls as well. And it's going to take a lot for us to build that relationship with our daughters and maintain that relationship with our daughters. So I have a different perspective. I have a different understanding, and I definitely have a different experience of working directly with daughters, working with little girls. So when we talk about mean girls equals middle school girls, what exactly am I talking about? I'm talking about the transition of our daughters leaving elementary school, K-5, continuating or graduating to middle school, which will be 6th grade through 8th grade. And for 95% of our daughters' fathers, this transition is going to be, it's going to be a difficult transition. And 95% of our daughters will be caught up in the mean girls. They will experience mean girls in that transition. And our job is to make sure that they don't become mean girls themselves. Okay? Because our daughters, once they get to middle school, everything's going to change for them. They are going to be changing relationships with their friends, other little girls, probably all the time. If they did not grow up and they're going to middle school with a lot of their friends, they're going to be having a lot of different relationships with little girls that they're going to be coming into contact with. And I can tell you, as a former dean of students, middle school girls can be mean, they could be petty, and they definitely know how to isolate. So at this particular stage, fathers of our daughters' development, expect them to isolate you at some point. Even our best daughters, my daughters, they all went through the mean girls stage. They never became mean girls themselves, but they definitely experienced it. And we had daily conversations on how they were going to handle these mean girls, because it's coming. And fathers, once it comes, this is not the time for us as their fathers and their dads to fall back and check out on them, because our little daughters will not have the answers. They will not. A lot of our daughters are not going to know how to juggle their relationships with these girls, and it's going to be a struggle for many of them. So we just have to make sure that we are available for our daughters on a daily basis, and that we are validating our daughters on a daily basis, because that's what it's going to take, fathers. It's going to take us being proactive, not reactive, proactive in their daily lives, having discussions with them, seeing what's going on with them, making sure that their moods and their highs and lows are not changing as frequent as they normally do. Because if they are, that's a problem. We need to intervene to see what's going on. So what happens to middle school girls? A lot. Their bodies are developing. They're going through puberty. It becomes a situation for most of our daughters where it's a acceptance and a popularity contest. That's what middle school is. I'm telling you, little girls are petty. They get real, real petty, and they can get real, real mean, and they can get real, real nasty. Okay? Because all of our daughters, they're not coming from the same environment. They're just not raised the same. They're not exposed to the same things. That's real. So what we have to do as fathers is we have to make sure that we are watching our daughters' moods and we're watching their behaviors. Because any sudden behavioral changes, there's a problem, fathers. I'm letting you know that now. Okay? So when they get to middle school and they're encountering mean girls, how do they handle it? Well, what I explain to my daughters is that when they come across mean girls, right, they have to address mean girls face to face, look them in the eyes, isolate them, and deal with them. Okay? Because mean girls, a lot of them are mean girls because of their mothers. Their mothers were mean girls. Okay? So, that's what I taught my daughters. Don't allow any of these little girls to bully you. Don't allow any of these little girls to be mean to you. And at all costs, if you try to de-escalate a situation and they don't allow you to de-escalate it, and they're trying to put their hands on you, you do have a right to defend yourself. Okay? So, I do understand, being a former dean of students, that a lot of fathers may not be down with what I'm saying, but you have to teach your daughters to defend themselves, because if they don't learn how to defend themselves against these mean girls, they will be a daily victim. Okay? I'm not advocating violence, but what I do understand as a father of daughters, some of these children, unfortunately, they've never been taught, right? So your daughters, it's not a violence for them defending themselves. I want to make that perfectly clear. I would much rather my daughter defend herself than be a victim of bullying and hurt, having her hair pulled, having gum thrown in her hair, having her being isolated from mean girls. That's the reality. Okay? So fathers, we have to make sure that our daughters handle themselves appropriately when it comes to mean girls. I would say my experience as a dean of students, I only met about 5% of girls who never went through the mean girl stage. And I believe the 5% of girls that never go through it, most of these young ladies, they're loners. They don't hang out with a lot of girls, and they don't have a lot of girl relationships. Most of their friends are boys. So that was my experience working with middle school girls. The ones that don't go through the mean girl stage, most of them have boys as friends, and the boys typically protect them if there's a problem. So it's interesting, okay? What are the dynamics of mean girl relationships? Mean girls hang out with other mean girls, right? You're always going to have that one that runs her mouth the most, that does all the talking, that does all the decision making. And then all the other girls fall in line with her because for whatever reason, they're scared of her. I mean, she's a bully, right? And I'm not necessarily saying they are going to be bullies, but she's a bully. So if you fall in line with a bully, chances are you're going to eventually bully yourselves. Okay? So you got to be very, very aware of what's going on. You know, we have to make sure that we are not condoning our daughters' behaviors under any circumstance, fathers. We have to understand as dads, we're going to have a totally different approach with our daughters than their mothers are. Okay? Mothers are nurturers, and I respect that. Okay? No father wants to see his daughter hurt. No mother wants to see her daughter hurt. What I'm saying is there's a difference between how mothers are going to address a situation with their daughters and fathers. So I know myself, I addressed it totally different with my daughters. You know, we had those discussions on a daily basis, and I told them this is how they have to handle these situations. And if it escalates to the point in which they end up in the principal's office, their father's going to be there to handle it. Okay? I always advocated for my daughters, right, wrong, or indifferent. I always advocated for them. I didn't make excuses for my girls. My girls were never mean girls. My girls never got caught up with mean girls. They went through it, though. Okay? So, yes, they had to experience other little girls being bullied, being isolated, being talked crazy to. And I explained to my daughters, you have to have a voice for these little girls that cannot and will not advocate for themselves. Okay? Because you have a fraction of little girls that just are not going to say anything. That's just the nature of the beast. Depending on how they were raised, you know, depending on what their parents have told them at home, how to handle situations. But I never accepted my daughters being bullied. That was not an option. They're not going to be bullied. They're not going to be handled by other little girls being mean. That was not an option. So I took a totally different approach, and it worked. So fathers, when our daughters get to middle school, expect to be isolated at times. Expect for our daughters not to talk to us at times. They're little girls. They're going through puberty. They're going to tell us we don't understand. They're going to tell us, why are we concerned? They're going to tell us it's none of our business. They're girls. Okay? So don't take it personal, fathers. Never take anything our daughters do personal. This is a new stage for them. This is a new challenge for them. Okay? So we just have to make sure that we show them validation. It's still important. 11 to 13, we have to validate their feelings. We have to validate them. We do, dads. We can't get so exhausted that we forget about our daughters. Because trust me, they will remind us if we do. Okay? So we have to make sure we're doing everything in our power to make sure that they're feeling good about themselves on the inside. Not the outside, the inside. That's how they need to be raised by their dads. Their mothers are going to do what their mothers do. We have to do what we do as fathers. I'm trying to think, am I missing anything else? There's a lot of things that are just going to be going on with our daughters. Okay? So as long as we're available to them, dads, don't worry. Okay? Being proactive and being part of their lives is the difference. Speaking with them on a daily basis, making sure they're okay, is going to make the difference. That's what we have to do. Okay? We have to make time for our daughters. Because if we don't, we're going to lose them in the transition in middle school. That's the bottom line. Their friends are changing. They're not feeling good about their bodies. They're not feeling good about themselves. They're not loving themselves. It's middle school. It's part of puberty. This is what we have to do, fathers. So I'm trying to prepare you as best I can that it's coming, right? We have the tools and we have the ability to ensure to continue to make sure our daughters are safe and that they are protected and that they protect themselves. So if there's any additional resources, fathers, that you feel that you need, feel free to reach out and get those resources. Okay, I love YouTube because there are so many resources and videos on YouTube. YouTube is free. Research is free. Do it, dads. I mean, we now have visual aids. I didn't have the YouTube when my girls were growing up. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't what it is today. So use your available resources, fathers. Don't be scared. You know, we're going to do things different than the mothers. There's going to be conflicts that we have with the mothers of our children at times. That's just what it is. Okay, but we have to make sure we are diligent and we are consistent in our daughters' lives during middle school, because it is going to be rough for most of them. It just is, right? And just be prepared to do what you can, dads. Okay? All right. So this is another live stream. I'm done. And I will see you next week, dads. Peace.